Hello everyone, True Zero Emissions here. Okay, this video is, I'm trying to think of how to say this. If you want to be an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, or you just like to study the way things work, what I want to say is, see, when I was beginning my research, when I was beginning to use my mind to think about the world I exist in and the possibilities of what can be created around us, studying how others have created the creative process, what leads up to the ultimate design of a car, right? How did that begin? Whether it be transportation, whether it be a painting, a poem, a book, it could be anything creative at all, anything. But for those of you that are interested in electrical and mechanical engineering, and you're interested in how things work, interested in batteries, interested in quick charging, and even if you're not interested in being an electrical and mechanical engineer, but you like to think about how things work, what I would like to say is a great place to start. Okay, you know how they say the more you bring to school is the more you get out of your education? The more you bring to your school, to your education, right? So let's say you're going to go to college next year or this year, or you're in college. But let's say you're planning on going to college someday or going back to school, and you want to study, let's say, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. I'm just sharing with you my process, right? My process is, how much can I learn about something before I begin the classes? How much can I bring to the class? How much can I bring to the teacher, right? Teachers always have office hours, right? Imagine the conversations you can have, right? So I'm recommending, and I'm sharing my experience here, what I would do and what I'm recommending to anyone that's interested in learning to think more efficiently about the way things work, right? That's what it's really about, right? How do we think more efficiently about what we're understanding, right? You ever read something and you're reading all these things and you're like, what did I learn from that? I don't know what I just read, right? It's like if you try to read about, like, where does electron get its energy from on Google? If you go to Google and say, where does energy come from? What are the origins of energy? How does an electron get its charge? I mean, I found myself going in circles, and some people call it circular definitions, and just going in circles and circles and circles. I'll never get an answer, because this answer tells me to go to this answer, and this answer tells me to go back to the answer, and I'm going in the big circle. It's like a maze, right? And I never have a simple, clear perception of what's going on. So through lots of study, I've come to find out that the electron is a fundamental particle. It doesn't break down to anything smaller. It's perpetual. It lasts forever. Study Richard Feynman's, who was a Nobel Prize winner and taught at Caltech in Pasadena. Study Richard Feynman's perpetual electron theory. But the electron has an infinite life, right? So what I would recommend is, and my understanding is, that the zero-point field is the source of our energy, and what powers the zero-point field is the material universe. Isn't that amazing? Do you know how much I had to read to learn that? That was not in one book. That was reading, like, I can't even countless books. It's just reading and reading, right, without end. And then putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So I'll call it a thought experiment to say what I just said to you. I'll say it's a thought experiment. It's a theory. I guess we can call it a theory. But at the end of the day, if we have Richard Feynman and we have John Wheeler, who taught at Princeton, right? John Wheeler taught at Princeton. Richard Feynman taught at Caltech in Pasadena. These two gentlemen acknowledge we have all these megawatts of energy in every cubic meter of space, right? There's energy everywhere. But then people say we absolutely cannot use it. Well, how do they know? We live in an infinite possibility universe, and we live in an infinite inevitability universe. Infinite inevitability universe. That means anything is inevitable. All things are inevitable eventually, with enough time. But what is time? There is no time. Fundamentally, there is no time, right? So how do we use the imagination to be a time traveler and create the things that we need to create, right? Because all the information in all the universe that will ever be known and ever has been known is available to everyone, right? Study the resonant morphic field of infinite intelligence, called many, many things. Some call it the Akashic records, right? Akashic records. I'm not certain of the spelling of that, but resonant morphic field of infinite intelligence is one way of thinking about it. So I would say, I'm interested right now in charging batteries fast, right? Because I have a scooter, and I want the scooter to levitate a few inches off the ground, but behave like it's on the ground still, and that can be done. So it's not going to float around. It's going to be absolutely solid in space and move like it's touching the ground, right? And then, so I study. What do I study? I study books that will teach me that, right? See, you got to study the material, right? The Anti-Gravity Handbook, revised 3rd edition. All the information's available. What will you do with it? Look at the birds beneath there. Notice the birds are not getting hurt? The birds flying beneath? That's an improvement, right? An improved design. Because some of the models pushed down and it would crush anything underneath there, but they found a way to do it more efficiently, where it doesn't harm life down here, right? Isn't that wonderful? So, we have to study the things we want to learn, right? So, and then charging batteries. I have a big battery in here. Now I'm charging this battery right now in 1.5 hours at 25 amps. I'm not recommending anybody do that, but I'm using the Roger charger and I'm charging at electric vehicle charging stations, and I'm using the J1772 to 5-15 Alien Rides charge adapter, which lets me plug my auto voltage sensing 110 to 220 volt Roger charger, which is in that backpack over there. That will plug directly into Alien Ride's website. You go to Alien Ride's website. He also has hyperchargers on there. And those chargers, the Alien Ride's chargers, if I read it correctly, doesn't allow you to overcharge the battery. It won't let you charge it too much amperage. Right? The Roger charger, you set it yourself, and you got to watch the temperature. That's what I do. I watch the temperature of the battery. I don't let the battery get warm. If it gets warm, I turn the power down. But at 25 amps, this battery stayed cool. It stayed ambient temperature, although it was cool outside, probably in the 60s at the time. 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I would say is study GBatteries, right? A lot of you that follow the channel know I talk about them a lot. GBatteries, it's just about taking the battery that's already in the scooter, the batteries that's in everything that you use already, all the lithium batteries, all those batteries, and all of our micromobility uses, right? It's taking those batteries, existing batteries, and charging it with a charging algorithm that is different. That's what's different, is the algorithm. How are they charging it, right? My understanding is, I think, my educated guess just means I study a lot, would be that they're using extremely high voltage spikes. How high of a voltage can you go? Thomas Bearden said we can go 300,000 volts in a spike. If every spike has current in it, then it makes sense that those spikes would add up to current and it would charge the battery. Can you measure that though? I'm not interested in, I'm interested in measuring it, but if our meters can't measure it, I'm not going to wait until someone invents a meter that can read the power going in. I want to know, is my battery charged, and can I go 61 miles on it at 26 miles per hour? That's what the scooter does. 26 miles, Dualtron Thunder 2, it'll go 61 miles at 26 miles per hour, average speed. And that's with fast acceleration. That's taking off fast, okay? So every time I stop quickly, I take off quickly, I accelerate quickly. 61 miles, that's very good. That's a 40 amp hour battery, right? 84 volts fully charged. Multiply 84 times 40, and you'll have the watt hours, which is very good. I think it's like 3,360 watt hours, I think, if I recall correctly. So how can I charge this battery in 10 minutes? GBatteries can do it. And they're improving cycle life of the battery, and they're preserving cycle life of the battery. Read the patents. GBatteries.com. I think they're in Canada. Read the patents. They're all over the internet. Study the patents. I want to make some videos that share that for educational purposes, where I read the patents in videos. And the first chance I have, I'll do that. But I recommend you do it too. I mean, when I say I recommend, I'm just saying that if I was in the beginning stages of learning, which I always am, that's what I would be doing, and that's why I'm going to do it. That's why I want to do that, right? And I have read some of the patents, and I want to read them all, and I thought, well, why not just read them out loud in a video while I'm going through them for the first time, right? Going all the way through them. I glanced at them, and they're very interesting. But I would recommend everyone that wants to make chargers someday or is interested in electrical engineering, I would recommend going to studying those patents and doing your best to replicate your own version of that system, and in an open forum, meaning, now when open forum, when I say that, I don't mean having comments on. Because I require extreme focus, and I haven't met anyone that doesn't. Anyone that's doing something and they're focused on it, they don't want things going on around them that distract them. They might still be able to function, but they prefer focus and silence and to be able to concentrate, right? Now, silence might mean putting earplugs in and putting the earmuffs on as well, if you're in a noisy environment to be able to focus, right? Because I've done that, like when the guys, the yard work people come and they're making all that noise with those motors. I don't know anybody that likes that noise. Those things have been outlawed so many times, and yet they still use them. I don't really know where that stands with those, but they're just so noisy. But luckily, it's only a couple times a week. That's a lot, though, isn't it? Seems like a lot. But going back to concentration, having the comments turned off allows you to just focus on what you're studying, what you're doing, and you can make videos that share the process of what you're doing, right? If you have some specific invention that you don't want to share with people, that's fine. I always say you can have your secrets, you can have your own things you want to patent and stuff, but it's important to share some simplified version of the theory of what you're working with and to share that openly, because that's what allows everybody to be on the same page, right? And then you can update your teachers, because the teachers are doing their best to keep up with students and all the things that students are thinking about, right? So teachers are going to have a certain outline of what they need to teach you to maintain the existing world, right? Because that's what school does. It kind of teaches maintenance, right? It teaches us how to maintain the existing world, right? And how to have security in that, right? But there's also security in creating improvement and creating efficiency, right? Moving the efficiency bar up and up and up, right? How do we continue to improve efficiency incrementally, right? People say if you improve something by 10%, you're an absolute genius. But if you improve it like hundreds of percent, like really, really big, then you're just made fun of and people will just laugh at you. And then one day they'll be like, oh yeah, that's obvious, right? Like, of course that works, right? But meanwhile, what's important is that we're all on the same page of understanding basically this infinite energy potential, which just means the energy's there. Like the plug in the wall, that's potential energy, right? Because I'm not using it. If I'm using it, then I can call it energy. That's when I say that. That's the way I'm referencing energy use, right? So I would say anyone that's interested in electricity at all, whether it be maintaining high voltage lines. I've talked with those guys, the guys that do high voltage on the wires. I've talked with them. I've talked with everybody, right? I've talked to scientists, NASA, JPL, all the scientists. I've talked to all different people at all different levels of education and different levels of experience. And it's very important to share your thoughts about what you're learning, right? That goes beyond kind of like the what we'll just call the textbook, right? Because the textbook is very like concrete day-to-day maintenance, right? Like how do we just maintain this existing understanding, right? But where the conflict can come in is when someone's kind of refusing to but refusing to be interested in, and also claiming that there's nothing but what we have right now, these present perceptions. And Tom Bearden talked about that a lot. He said, how many times is the very foundation of science lifted, almost entirely redefined, right? Because it's like there's so much resistance, right? There's so much resistance, and then suddenly it just opens up and we take a huge leap forward, and that just keeps happening. But rather than having like these big resistances, where there's all this like resistance to being open to things and how they work, if we just openly share, kind of like just open the floodgates, right? Just open, not the floodgates, but the floodgates of knowledge. It's not like a good analogy for like water, because if we open the floodgates, it's going to flood everything, right? But in actual like scientific theory, opening the floodgates, and that's probably a bad analogy to use that, but I'll just use it for now, it's like opening up perception, opening up possibility, looking at things for what it is actually there, for the potential of what it is. Not defining something and limiting something based on our own, like what makes us comfortable or what we want other people to believe. I'm not asking anybody to believe anything except their own experience. My only request would be notice what is happening before you, right? And share what you're experiencing. That's my only request. Share your experience, because you're the expert. I see it that way. I see everyone that can create an experience. I see experiences as that's the expert, the experience, and and sharing the experience is in a way that someone can also replicate that experience, right? So like this is a motor. This is a dishwasher water pump motor right here, and and I'm looking for an industrial size one. I want to get a really, really big one, right? Or have this one rewound if I have to, rewind this one with thicker wire and more wire. Like, how much wire can I get in there? This was originally a motor, and I'm using it as a generator, right? I'm using it as a generator. Gerard Morin experimented with this. This is where I got the original idea from. And I put bearings in it. So that's 2 bearings next to each other right there, because the shaft wasn't that long, but they're in there. And these bearings are rated for 100,000 RPMs, because it comes out of a little Castle Creations electric motor. Castle Creations electric motor here. And I don't know which one this is exactly. You see 100,000 RPM on the top corner right here. See that? Castle. So Castle Creations. And then the model of this particular motor is, it's on here, I think. They call it a 1410 1, I think it's a 1Y. It might say 3800 kV. I can't read the rest of that, but let's see if it has it somewhere else on here where it's more, where I can read it easier. For more torque, it says, so 4-pole it says? Oh, it's a 4-pole. 4-pole, interesting. I didn't know it was a 4-pole. I thought it just had a north and a south. 4-pole, I think, means 2 norths and 2 souths. I think that's what that means. I'm not sure though. You have to confirm that for yourself. I really do think the magnet just has north and south on it, the magnet, the center rotor. So maybe the poles must be inside here. Maybe that's, when they say poles, they mean the way it's wound. I don't know. But that's something you could check. You could even call the company. Castle Creations is amazing. They're very knowledgeable, and they have great customer service. It's for remote control cars, things. Anyway, this, moving forward, this here, I'm using as a battery charger right now as an experiment. And notice how it's designed. So the rotor's inside here, right? The rotor's in there. And I think it has a north and a south, but that thing knows if it's 2 norths and 2 souths, then that's what it is. So that would be like north, south, right? If it is that. But when I turn it, notice how it turns. See what it's doing here? So it's hard and then easy at 180 degrees. See? Hard and then stops at 180 degrees again. See how it's doing that? That makes me think that it's just a north and a south in there, because I would think that if it was north south, it was 2 norths and 2 souths, that it would go quarter turns like that and stop at quarters, I think. But confirm that for yourself. You can also ask Castle Creations directly. Anyway, whatever was in there still worked. It made a couple 100 volts, I think, if I recall correctly, but I put this neodymium magnet in there, and now it's making almost 500 volts. But it's getting really super hot, so it might be better to actually, I may actually try to put the original rotor back in. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I need that really, really strong, I don't even know if I need that really strong neodymium magnet, because this one here, well, this is probably not rated for like really high RPM, I don't know. I'd have to be extra careful, but and I don't think my bearings will fit on this, but I could look for other bearings. But this one still produced a couple 100 volts. Let's see what the polarity of this one is. The main thing about this video is, if I could say anything I could just summarize right now, because I'm going to keep talking about things, is just to say that study GBatteries patents if you're interested in if you're interested in electrical engineering. If you like electrical engineering, and you want a future in that, or you're just interested in it, whatever it may be. Okay, it rolled like that. Let me see. That looks like it's just 1 north and 1 south to me on that one, on that original one. I think my clip came off here. This is my way of powering this thing. Oops. Because the battery died in it. When I tried to recharge the non-rechargeable battery, it exploded. And that's why they say don't recharge. That's probably why Rick Friedrich says don't recharge non-rechargeable batteries. I mean, someone that was working for him said that. Someone that was with him at a conference once said that in a video I was watching. But so this here will charge at approximately 400 to 500 volts, somewhere in there, like 470 volts, and it's 1 amp. But it's very weird that I can touch it and I don't feel anything, like a tingle. That's it. And that's still 500 watts. 1 amp is still, to me, is significant. 1 amp, right? But somehow it doesn't harm me, but it'll run light. It'll run like it can light up lights and things. It's high frequency, right? I don't know what the frequency is, but that would be based on how fast this is turning, right? Because how many cycles per second is this spinning at? So if that motor, if this is a blender motor, if that's turning at 20,000 RPMs, then I guess my cycles would be 20,000 cycles per second, right? That's one cycle. 1, 2, 3, right? So, and that may very well be a 20,000 RPM motor. So that would be 20,000 cycles per second, or 20 hertz, right? No, 20,000, 20K hertz, right? Or 20,000 cycles per second. So anyway, I would say this video is just to say that primarily I want to say that if you want to create, if you want to be a part of creating the future of like chargers and and just being a part of the educational process of helping to educate people and teachers too, right? Because teachers, again, they're studying maintenance, how to maintain, but they're also studying the future as well, right? I mean, I've seen many videos where teachers are sharing like space travel, like they're like, yeah, I could do space travel with this this theory right here, but I don't hear them talk about electrogravitics. We've had electrogravitics for, you know, like half a century. We've had electrogravitics. That's faster than the speed of light. It creates a force field that protects you. This is the technology that what I'll call electrogravitic propulsion laboratory, right? JPL instead of a jet. What's a jet? When I think of jet, I think of fuel, jet fuel, right? But when I think of jet, I think of combustion. That's just what I think of. So that's why I made a video the other day, which got like 1,500 views, I think. It was amazing. And it was just me showing like a license plate frame, and when it said JPL, and then what I thought of when I saw that, I thought, oh, well, the future of JPL is electrogravitic propulsion laboratory, right? And when do you think they make that change? When people ask for it, the public. That's why education, we're talking about education, we're talking about communication, we're talking about share your thoughts. This, you know, it's completely irrelevant. Any talk of we can't do that, there's all these reasons we can't do it. What? We all want to go traveling through space. We already are, right? I mean, there's nothing that holds still. Our solar system's moving. Our galaxy is moving, and we move in clusters of galaxies, like 5 galaxies together through space. And the universe is moving. Everything's moving so fast. So we are space travelers. We're always traveling. We're on Spaceship Earth, okay? And it's a self-sustaining system, perpetually. Just like energy, just like the universe, just like the zero-point field, and just like the material universe, right? Everything's like energy moving all the time, moving, right? So you're going to see a lot of videos about me experimenting with charging batteries in different ways because that interests me, and I'm just sharing with you what helped me and what also would have helped me more. Is just, I was always exhausting all the videos I could find on people experimenting with charging batteries in different ways. I was always looking for that. And so that's why also I'm sharing my journey with you, because maybe that'll help someone like that's experimenting already or wants to experiment, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's a neat idea, maybe I'll try that. But always be careful. That's the thing. You have to always be careful. And even though I said this doesn't shock me, that doesn't mean go and touch it, right? I would treat it carefully. That's just because Gerard Morin was saying that it doesn't hurt him, and I think he was even touching it. And so I thought, well, if he's doing it, maybe I could try it. But that doesn't mean you should do it. I'm not going to recommend you do that. What if it did shock you? Even though it doesn't shock me, right? It may shock you. I don't know. Because one thing we notice about experiments is when you move in space to different areas, there's also different density of energy, right? There's different... I'm just switching my phone to focus right now. There's different... because all energy comes from the environment, right? the environment has different energy density in different areas, and there's all kinds of different kinds of energy too, right? There's all kinds of different kind of energy. So this turned out to be like so far a 25-minute video, but if I could say one message in it, it would be study. If you're interested in the way things work, just because you like to know how things work, if you're interested in making a new charger and being a part of that educational process where you teach your teachers and where you talk about this in videos, and I would say have the comments off so you could focus. There's so many people that will write all these things that have, I'm kind of like, this is what I'm focused on. Let's say I'm focused on charging batteries. Next thing I know, I'm looking at engines that run on all these different kind of design engines that run that we've invented over the past 100 years, and which is neat. That's interesting. I love learning all these different inventions that we've done and all these different like billions and billions of different solutions and everything that we've had for the past 100 years. That is interesting to me. But if I'm focusing on charging batteries, I really want to focus on charging batteries. So to do that, I'm responsible for making sure that I can create the conditions that will allow me to focus, right? I'm responsible for that, which means for me having the comments turned off. Now the old comments are still active, and I think people can still write new comments on the channel. It's just that I'm not viewing them right now. I think they have to be approved or something, but I'm not looking at them because, so if someone wants to write a comment, it may be seen someday. I think they will be seen and documented in some kind of way, because I think that would be neat to have all the comments, good and bad, to be able to be shared at some point in time somehow. I don't know how, but that way because people like to read comments, so that way everybody would have access to that. And then I would categorize comments that I thought were focused and relevant. I would separate those from comments that seemed like for example, if someone's like writing comments that are mean and distracting, I might put those separately and put a little note there, like, so you know what you're getting into, right? And say these are comments that for some reason they weren't spammed by YouTube, because YouTube will spam some stuff. They won't even post it. but I might feel like I don't want to leave that comment on there because it's not helping me with what I'm doing. It's not helping me focus, and it's not contributing to where I'm going, right? Like when I write a comment on someone's channel, I think I try to write around what they're talking about. I try to say, yeah, like, that's very interesting. What if it had this? What if it had that? And I kind of speak to where I would like maybe to see something improved, or like oftentimes you'll see me talking about when I make videos, I'll almost always say, oh, I wish it had a bigger battery, you know. This is one of the few scooters, the Dualtron Thunder 2, even though my favorite suspension scooter is like the Wolf King GTR has many things on it that are absolute favorites. It has the most amazing power I've ever felt, and I mean smooth power. That thing feels like you're on a spaceship, okay? It really does. It feels like you're on a spaceship on the ground. Like if you could have a spaceship, like a UFO, but on the ground, that's what it feels like. You know, that thing like defines UFO, really, like totally. And, I mean, you hit the acceleration on that scooter, the Wolf King GTR. You hit the acceleration, and this is a Dualtron Thunder 2, but I'm just saying because I had a Wolf King GTR, and I rode it a lot, and I'll tell you, that's the fastest scooter. It's so fast. One of the things that make it fast is that the wheels don't spin. You could turn on traction control, and it works so good that the wheels do not break free like spin, but they go as fast as they can without losing traction. That is such an advantage, like if you want to race someone or accelerate quickly and maintain control. Versus if I compare it to like the Dualtron Thunder 2, which people love that it's like an on and off switch, right? It's like the things you could break the tires loose by hitting the acceleration, and I don't think it has traction control. I mean, I think, you know, your traction control is the way you push the throttle, right? So, and this also has square wave controllers, which is more like, it's just a totally different feel. But if I talk about the Wolf King GTR, it has such amazing suspension. It has amazing, it's very sturdy. The steering is very stable at all speeds. At high speeds, it's stable. I've hit 3-inch holes. I've hit holes in the road, and I've hit cement lifted up by the roots of trees, 3 inches. And it just absorbed it like nothing. That is amazing. And that's the Wolf King GTR. I know it has a good range. I know it has good range, and people buy that scooter because it has good range. But for me, because I ride fast, and because, how do I say this? When you ride fast, it reduces your range, right? Well, the Dualtron Thunder, it has a 40 amp hour battery in it. What is the... I don't know what the Wolf King GTR is, but it's less than that. It's a little bit less. So that's one reason I like the Dualtron Thunder, is that it has a little bit bigger of a battery. But what I would like to see improved on the Wolf King GTR is a larger, even a larger battery, larger than this. I would just like to see that. That's just what I like. So when we talk about battery capacity, one of the reasons for that is knowing that it takes a while to charge the battery. So I'm gonna be experimenting with how can I charge a battery quickly, right? So the reason I'm talking about batteries and stuff is because I'm just sharing with you my thoughts. I want to be able to charge something quickly, and a lot of people will say, if you charge quickly, you degrade the battery. But that's not how my brain works. I'm way past that. My brain automatically says, how can we charge the battery differently? How can we charge the battery and not degrade the cycle life of the battery? That's where my brain goes. I can't have that conversation with many people, because it's almost as if the script of, I'll say, Google, which is just whatever you can find on Google, when a lot of Google is saying things like, yeah, cycle life across the board is degraded. Now, GBatteries achieved something differently. They proved it, if we say that, right? Meaning independently it was proven over and over and over again. They've been proving it for over 10 years. And they're doing great as a company, but we still don't have the tech. We, the public, don't have it. The first thing I wanted when I called them a couple years ago is I was like, can I have some version of this to charge my cell phone? To charge my, something little, just like anything little that I have. I just want to charge my flashlight or something, And there was no way to do it, because it requires not just the software, but the hardware too, which part of that is monitoring the battery. It's the way it connects to the battery. So it connects to existing battery tech, and GBatteries proved that by making videos, and they have them on their channel, the YouTube channel. I really wish, and I would love to see this, and I recommend that we all request this. I'm going to request it too. Let's all request that GBatteries share more of what they're doing day to day, the way that as a comparison, I'm going to compare it to Aptera Motors. If we look at Aptera Motors, in the beginning, Aptera had a few videos out. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Aptera in the very beginning had a couple videos out, just like GBatteries. GBatteries has, like, I don't know if it's 5 videos or 10 videos. I think it's 5 videos. That's it, on their YouTube channel, the last time I checked. Okay, GBatteries. And even though people like Tesla, you can go ask anyone that works for Tesla, they know about GBatteries. Everyone I talk to that works for Tesla said, yeah, we know about GBatteries, we know about them. And they don't say more about it, but they know about them. And that's big to me. I'm like, wow, that's awesome that they know about them. These guys research stuff, right? Because just the day-to-day in the public, when I talk to people, they're like, who? GBatteries? What's that? They make batteries? No, they don't make batteries. They designed an algorithm that allows you to charge a battery in 10 minutes on anything. Any scooter, any electric car, 10 minutes. Any Tesla can charge in 10 minutes. And your cycle life will be better than your present fast charging that you're already doing with your Tesla. If Tesla implemented that system right now, today, right now, or started putting the system in now and sharing that with the public, yeah, we're doing this, guys, we're doing this. If they put that system in, that would help them as a company, because someone was just telling me that Tesla, some of those early buyers that bought the Teslas in the beginning, that their batteries are needing maintenance now, right? They're needing some of the cells have to be changed, right? Well, if you use this other charging method that GBatteries has developed, anybody can develop their own version of it, right? Anyone can do that, but that's what part of the reason I'm making this video is to encourage people that are learning about that are interested in electrical engineering, to study this in the ways that interest you, learn the theories and the practice, and share your results. Continue to share your results, or share your results if you haven't shared before. And like I said, I would say comments off, because anyone that has comments on knows what I'm talking about, especially when it's about things that we don't do every day. When it's about things like new ways of thinking about energy, right? Even though the ways I'm talking about might have been thought about for hundreds of years, it's just that it's not what's in the textbook. I'll say it that way, right? Right? Because the textbook's what? Maintaining the existing world, right? Maintaining it. But we live in an infinite possibility universe, and I'm saying, what can you do with your imagination? Infinite possibilities and experimentation. And what do you create with your battery charger, right? This channel's had many people write me right from the beginning, oh, contact us, we want to make a patent with you, right? People will say, we want to patent something with you. And all I was doing was replicating stuff that had been done already. And people are telling me, let's make a patent and all this stuff, right? Which is wonderful, but you know, sometimes when YouTubers stop posting, I have to wonder, wow, I guess they went the patent route, right? Where they're not sharing anything. Maybe they just want to keep everything to themselves, and then you know, sell the idea, which is fine. Everyone has the choice to do what they want to do. But you know, when people try to blame someone else for, like, saying, oh, people are so greedy, they're so greedy, they won't share their ideas, you know, right? Well, we all have the choice to use our mind in the way that we want to, right? We all have the choice to pursue happiness. Like I was telling someone just yesterday, I said, you know, these experiments make me happy, and it's in the Constitution that we have the right to pursue happiness, right? That's one of our constitutional rights, is to pursue happiness. This makes me happy. It's like a fundamental truth, you know. It's a fundamental right, and exercise it if you want to, you know. Imagine living your whole life in your last days of life, right? So you're like, maybe you're 120, or if Aubrey de Grey is right, which I think he is, then we could be thousands of years old, and we may not even die at all, because if we could reverse aging, then there's no limit to how long we could live, and that's reversing aging in good health, right? Because people go, I wouldn't want to live forever with bad health. No, he's talking about being able to live forever, Aubrey de Grey, right? Being able to live forever because we're keeping the cells healthy. We're preventing them from we're able to reverse disease, right? Reversing aging is reversing disease, reversing the way the cells replicate and get deteriorated in those replications, right? You have to read his books. You have to watch his videos. He shares everything, right? So here, this is about, for me, how can I charge a battery in a different way? What did GBatteries do? They started in the basement or garage, father and son, charging cell phone batteries in different ways, right? Now I'm putting all my research together when I tell you Tom Bearden talked about using 300,000 volt negative energy spikes. What I'm wondering is there such a thing as positive energy spike? In other words, is there a way to make a mistake with the spike? If we have 300,000 volt spike and no current, we don't want current, right? So no current, just voltage. And guess what? The current's there, even if our meter doesn't show it. So now Tom Bearden says if it's 300,000 volts of regular energy, it'll blow the battery up. But if it's 300,000 volts of negative energy, it just charges really fast. So I think of this and wonder about this when I think of GBatteries, right? Because GBatteries has their secrets, and they have their patents that they're shared openly. The patents are shared openly, but you can read those. And maybe it's going to have some specifics in there. But my interest is in how fast can I charge a battery and keep the battery cool, not letting it get hot, and also not overcharging it. I was trying to share with someone the other day of using high voltage to charge a battery, but not overcharging it. And sometimes people will have so much knowledge about the way things work right now and the way, like, the textbook explains things, that everything I say, they just repeat what the book says. And they may not be able to even hear what I'm saying. And that happens sometimes. And it makes me think all I can do is do my experiment, and if I get a battery to charge fast, all I can do is write down what I'm doing. Like I'm putting, you know, this voltage in, this current in, so it might be, let's say it's 300,000 volts of spikes, voltage spikes, right? And let's say it's less than 1 amp, let's say it's half an amp. And let's say the battery charges up to full voltage, but I'll say 80%. I'm not going to want to go to full. I don't want to get close to the full, right? If I'm doing it manually, and it's not going to shut itself off, right? Because I'm talking about doing a manual system myself, right? unless I can get someone to engineer something that would stop the charge when it gets full, right? But just as a thought experiment, what happens if I bring that charge up really quick? Or what happens if I pulse the charge? Like literally the charger's pulsing, right? 300,000 volts at half an amp, and it's at a frequency of, let's go with Gerard Moore and talking about 100,000 cycles per second, right? He talked about that as a good frequency that he would like, ideally, if he was making his own charger. If I understood him correctly, okay? If I understood him correctly. But that would mean in this, it would be meaning turning this at 100,000 RPMs, right? That can be done. I mean, this is 100,000 RPMs. This rotor is made for 100,000 RPMs right there. The rotor in there is made for 100,000 RPMs. I already have the experiment here. The only complication I see is that this thing gets super hot. It's hard to keep it cool. When I run this, I put a fan. I put this fan right here. This fan right on there. I put this fan on it. AC Infinity. I think I bought this on Amazon. I put this fan there. I put it over that whole area, right on it, like that. Like I put that motor inside here, right up inside there, and I put the other one on the other side to keep both motors cool. I have two of them, right? There's two right here, and so these get hot, and that's concerning to me. And ideally, I will not be heating things up. I don't want things to get hot. I want things to stay cool, right? I was thinking about, let me see if I can find, here it is. I was thinking about a different way to experiment after studying these, that generator I just showed you, which is a dishwasher water pump motor that I'm using as a generator with a more powerful rotor. I was thinking about this, and I was imagining putting tuning forks here, like welding tuning forks here. Little ones, maybe, right? Little tuning forks, if they made such a thing, right? Or just taking a tuning fork, cutting it down, and putting it here, and having each of these have a tuning fork going like this, going out. Each of these, right? Each of these arms that come out. And then having the rotor in the middle, and the rotor would literally be like the rotor that's inside, be a very small rotor, right? Like the one that's inside right here. Like this little one, but the stronger one, the neodymium. And it's small though, it's the same size as the other one. It's the same size as this, but it's neodymium, right? And then spinning that in there and seeing what that does, right? It's an idea. Anyway, this video went much longer than I originally imagined, but if I was to say one message in here, I would say, think of Aptera Motors and the way they make videos all the time, right? They're so passionate about making videos and sharing the journey with us. And I want to thank Aptera Motors for doing that. I do hope they succeed. And I think they will, because so many people, it's time to succeed. I just don't know why they don't get the cars out there. You know, they're telling us stories of why the car doesn't come out. There's always a story. But my thought is sell the car and improve it later. I feel like they're really perfecting the car over and over and perfecting every little thing on it. And my thought is make those perfections later. Right now, just get these things in people's hands. I don't understand that at all. I've followed many companies that made electric cars, many new companies. They all brought cars out and they perfect them over time. And Aptera Motors seems like they stand out to me in that there's always something happening except the car getting delivered. There's all these things they do. I really think the cars need to start getting delivered, and they need to make the cars as quickly as they can. Are they even making cars? I mean, the story, that part of the story never makes sense to me. It's like, oh, they have a new word they use that explains another phase they're at. So they were at this phase, now we're at this phase, and now we're at this phase, and every phase I think is the last one until the car comes out, and it doesn't. There's another phase, and there's another phase, and I know that anybody else can make the Aptera car, though. Anyone else can do it themselves, make a new company, come out with a car that's a variation of that, their own version of it with their own patents and everything. I just like that extreme efficiency design, and whoever makes it, I would like if Toyota made one. I would like to see Toyota make one, because I think Toyota could come out with one really fast, right? Because they know how to make, they have the facility to do it. And so I'd like to see pre-existing automakers make their own version of the Aptera Motors vehicle, but just to bring it out, right? Just to bring it out for us, that for those of us that want that, right? It's like we all want to help keep the air clean and use these more efficient technologies, but we're depending on the automakers, the existing automakers, to bring us the technology. And my thought is that I would think that they would want to make things that we want. We want efficiency. We want design aesthetic. We want extreme aerodynamics. We want solar on the car, even if it just runs the accessories. And we should have a choice if it runs the accessories or contributes to charging the main high voltage battery, even if it only puts a little bit of power in there. That should be our choice, like a switch. So one switch lets it run accessories and charge a little bit of battery. One choice lets it just charge the high voltage battery. Something like that, where you can make these selections, right? I mean, the future is history. Like, in other words, we designed a future many years ago that would already have us with reduced air pollution and traveling more efficiently through space, right? In a two-dimensional way, meaning just on cars. And we're just waiting for automakers to bring us the tech, right? But what happens is there's all this writing and all this media about, like, I find myself getting excited because there's a new design coming out, like the next year's coming. But then I look at it and go, well, but what do I want? Oh, that's not what I want. That doesn't have things I like. It has like 1% of what I like in it. And it seems like it's like the writing is so good and the videos are, and the way it's filmed and the lighting, everything's so good that I find myself getting excited about something that is not really what I want. Because what I really want is something like the Aptera Motors vehicle. That's what I really want. And I would love to see every automaker, every major automaker, there's many of them, make their own version of an extremely efficient vehicle, like a variation of the Aptera Motors vehicle. And that's a request. So if automakers could do that, please bring us that tech. It's here, it's proven. We all know about it, everyone knows about it. And if you want to learn about it, just study Aptera Motors and what they've done. And automakers could bring something like that out really fast, and not as a concept car. I mean, just skip the whole concept thing. It's just like, concept is just so irritating because, like, by the time it comes out, it changes anyway. So how about bring us an Aptera Motors, your own version, like Toyota, bring out your own version of that vehicle, but even go beyond what they've done. Go beyond Aptera Motors. Why not? Aptera Motors gives us the option of 1,000 miles. Give us the option of 2,000 miles, right? But if you can't do it, just match what Toyota did, or even go less if you have to go less. If you have to go 400 miles, 500 miles, 600 miles, if you can't do the 1,000 miles, that's fine. Just give people choices. I think it's important to have choices, right? And I do think it's the right thing to do. It's like Who Killed the Electric Car and Revenge of the Electric Car, right? With those movies, those documentaries. Nissan in the second movie, in Revenge of the Electric Car, the head guy, one of the head guys for Nissan, said, "We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. We're doing it because it's time." If I recall correctly, that's a paraphrase. If I recall correctly, he said something like that. It's time and it's the right thing to do. How long ago was that? The Nissan Leaf. That was so long ago. Yeah, we're getting a lot of electric cars, but where's the Aptera Motors, the extreme aerodynamics, right? Extreme aerodynamics. Solar on it. They can get 40 miles a day in sunlight. This is a request. Automakers, please give us these kind of choices, please. Okay, and ask for this. All of you that are watching this video, automakers want to hear from you. Call them up. Call the customer service line. Let them know. Please bring us your own version of an Aptera Motors vehicle. Extreme aerodynamics. Extreme efficiency, right? That's not a car for everyone, but for the people that want it, it can make a difference, right? It can reduce pollution, right? If people that want that tech are willing to pay for it, which they are, just look at all the orders for Aptera Motors vehicles, then it helps, right? Okay, everyone, True Zero Emission signing off. And don't forget, study the GBatteries patents. They're readily available on the internet. GBatteries, it's all there. And if you want to be an electrical engineer, study those patents, and I would say create a dialogue in your videos. In other words, not having the comments on, but the dialogue is literally a dialogue in the process of sharing. It's sharing with the creation of videos, sharing what you're thinking about, what you're seeing, and documenting that, right? And then you can look back at your videos and it's like a journal. That's what I do. And the comments can be turned off if you want. That keeps you focused. If you think you want to do comments, that's fine. It's up to you. It's your choice. I would say leave them off, though, because when you're dealing with new territory, right, it's just like, do you really have time to answer thousands of questions and educate people on how to fast charge and increase cycle life? Or do you want to learn the rest of how these patents work and make more videos sharing what you see, what you're experiencing, and then as you're in school, sharing that process, you know, like share what your teacher said about it, share how you're teaching your teacher about this, share how they're open to this, share how they're learning, how they're teaching you about what you brought to them originally. Now they're teaching you about it, right? Because they'll take it beyond, right? That's why they're teachers. Teachers can take things up a level, right? So we have to bring the teacher our questions, and they can help us work on them and solve them, right? Okay, everyone, True Zero Mission signing off. Don't forget, study the GBatteries patents, and let's charge our scooter batteries in 10 minutes with increased cycle life. Yes, it can be done. It's being done. And how would you do it? That's the question. Make a video sharing your thoughts. Okay, everyone, talk to you soon in the next video. Bye-bye.